Hello and welcome to my capstone. My name is Cass and I am in the full-time cohort of the MSW program. Before we begin, I would like to do a land acknowledgement. So I currently live in Ottawa, Ontario, which is on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. In my personal life, I am a crocheter, so I thought it would be very appropriate to do a crochet project for my creative piece. Initially, I had really big ideas to do various different symbols and crochet different images to represent my journey throughout this program. But I did feel like I was a little overambitious and it was a little bit challenging to find the appropriate patterns. And if you don't know what a pattern is in crocheting, it's essentially just instructions on how to create a certain piece. So I created a few crocheted squares, and initially I wanted to create sort of like a scarf, and my hope was that the scarf would show my journey from start to finish. But then I kind of had the idea that I didn't really want to attach the squares anymore because I felt like my learning wasn't linear and this journey had a lot of ups and downs. So I felt like it didn't really flow like that. So I think it better represents my MSW journey just having each square stand alone by itself. So I think what I'll do is I'll show each square sort of throughout this video. My first one here, I'll show in a second, but it kind of represents the self-care that I had to really engage in this year. I decided to work full-time while I was doing full-time studies, which was a lot, but I feel like I really pushed through and I was able to manage my time pretty well, and I don't think I sacrificed my quality of work in either area. So what I did to represent that is this heart here, just because I feel like in social work we really preach practicing self-care and taking care of ourselves. And for me, taking time off work wasn't really an option. But doing my MSW is something that I've always really wanted to do. So I think not only does this heart represent my self-care that I engaged in, it also represents just my passion overall for social work and the quality of the work that I put in. And just for some examples for self-care, I really tried to hit different areas of my life. So I tried to ensure that I had like good social rest, so that I had some time with friends and family and that I was logging off and not constantly checking emails and leaving work at work. I really tried my best to do that. And I think I did a pretty good job of it. So yeah, I think this one is a good one to start with, my little heart here. So to go into a little bit about my placement experience, I had the opportunity to do my placement with Dr. Susan Cadell, who is a social worker and a researcher in the area of grief. I decided to do my placement with her because I had never tried doing research. I didn't even really know what to expect, other than my research course that I had taken in my undergrad. So I really went into it with like no expectations. I thought it would be something really interesting and cool to try out. And I also am really fascinated by death studies and grief, just because I think a lot of us can agree that we don't talk about it very much. Or if it is talked about, we feel really uncomfortable with the subject. So my placement was between October and June. So it was a very significant part of my learning, and I truly learned so much from Susan and my peers that were also doing their placement with Susan. It was a really invaluable part of my journey, and for that, I decided to represent my practicum with this little skull square, just to represent death and dying. And initially, I thought maybe a skull was a bit morbid, maybe it wasn't the bestest image, but in a way, I didn't think it was inappropriate because I think death and dying are natural parts of life, and we don't talk about that nearly enough. and this skull felt like a very honest symbol. One project that I did get to focus on was people's grief experiences during the COVID-19 pandemic. So Susan and her research team had interviewed people during the pandemic just to get more insight on their grief experiences and accompanying somebody at the end of their life. So I had the opportunity to conduct qualitative analysis. So I focused on these interviews and I was able to watch them and pull key themes and look at like similarities across participants' experiences. So I was able, with all this information, I was able to submit an abstract to the Hospice Palliative Care Ontario conference back in February. And then we found out later in the spring that it was accepted. And then I was able to attend their annual conference in June and present a poster that represents the research. So I'll put the poster up here, but essentially the research highlights some of the findings. So what we noted is that participants received inequitable exceptions, and we know that during COVID there was a lot of isolation protocols in healthcare institutions, but we found that if you were white or English speaking or had background in healthcare, you were more likely to get exceptions to visitation limits. And then there was also geographic barriers, so limited access to resources, and if you lived in a rural area, people faced additional challenges. And the hope with this research is that if we ever have another public health crisis, we will hopefully be a bit more prepared and we will be better informed to create more compassionate and just policies. One part that I really liked about this poster is the question at the very bottom. Ask yourself, who or what do you make exceptions for? I think this sat well with a lot of people that were at the conference. It sparked a lot of really great discussions just about power dynamics in healthcare institutions, and even aside from the pandemic, health inequities that are experienced by patients every day. And it just really emphasizes the need to provide equitable and fair treatment to everybody. Another really great takeaway that I had was from my relational practice with families in oncology. It was the first time that I had really learned about what survivorship is, and specifically survivor loneliness. There was a specific article where they highlighted survivors of breast cancer and their experiences, and I really learned about how these women experienced deep loneliness after breast cancer, as survivorship can bring feelings of isolation, disconnection, and a lack of understanding from others, even after treatment ends. So that brings me to my future plans after I complete my MSW. So like I said earlier, I have been currently working at the Children's Hospital in Ottawa in ambulatory care clinics, and I have now accepted a new role in our oncology clinic. So that was definitely inspired by what I've learned in the oncology course that I took. And it's very cool because I was really interested in survivorship and what that looks like. And this specific role is a social work position working in the transition clinic. So it's for people who had childhood cancer and who are now in remission. So it's just supporting them through that transition. So yeah, I'm really excited, and to represent that transition there, I had crocheted this sort of like sun, and for me this sun represents like growth and leadership. I think I've taken like a really big step in finding like a niche social work role. Right now I have a very general role in medical social work, but yeah, I think this is a brand new position too. Nobody has ever been in this role before. So I'm really excited that I get to sort of create the role and pioneer what that looks like. So yeah, I'm really excited for the future, and I can't wait to apply what I've learned in my classes into this new role.